I mean, the kind of things that we talked about yesterday,
Yeah,
regarding duration with Ajaokuta was just mind flipping, buggling, doc. I mean, he's just bang out
it's
of order
crazy.
with something done.
It's unbelievable situations and complete insane. Almost even animals will not go that path to deprive ourselves and our people of what they could. It's unimaginable.
It's do you know that it's been well over 45 years that we started it to, I mean, successive government have been working on Ajaokuta, just one single complex, 45 years, and they just keep like just eating up the money, just eating up the money,
Yeah.
and that complex is still there. And now, uh, like a couple of years ago, the Senate was saying to Buhari that they want him to cover $1 billion. That's after they spent $10 billion already, so that will make it $11 billion.
Really?
Yeah, I mean Buhari rejected it. Yeah, I mean a lot of people. It's a good thing that he rejected it because that was just flipping day robbery. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
daylight robbery.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, another million to complete it is just seriously,
Mm.
I mean, unbelievable, because, I mean, these are the same people who were saying to us that about 20 years ago, 95% of the complex 98% of the complex being completed. Right, it's ready to
Mm-hmm.
go. And then 5 years ago, yeah, 2018, the last audit report that they concerned was like 85%, you
Mm.
know. But we know people who actually work in the complex, who can see what's going on there, and they're telling us that a lot of the machines and tools have just been like taken off. They were selling it off. I mean, the Indians were there first. I mean, the people were trying to stop the Indians, then the Indians stopped. But
Yeah.
there's some people were just coming over there. Every now and then they would just pick up an equipment and they'll be gone with it. So we're looking at something like 85 or even less percent of Ajaokuta's readiness now. You
Mm.
know. But I mean, bad as it is, it can be solved. No,
Yeah.
because the bottom line really is a lot of the things there are really mechanical component phased products, right? I mean, I'm talking about the equipment, the tools, and the small machineries that use there. So, and also if you hear a story about how the underground there were flooded because see when you build furnaces, like blast furnaces, um, you have to take the route under the ground. But the way we did it, we didn't build enough barricades to prevent the water from coming in, so we got flooded like crazy.
Mm.
So that's something that would need to be sorted out. Yeah, but then you also heard about, yeah, the ignition for the blast furnace. Is the problem. If that's the problem, that shouldn't be a problem. I mean, the technology for ignition is there. I mean, we're talking about a complex that was built 40 years ago. So we're not even talking about a new technology. You know, so yeah, so that should not be a problem. at all. But the most important thing that really bothers me, right, is just that the minister that is in charge of steel development, right, he's not saying that, well, they're going to hold on to Ajaokuta, right, they're not going to concession it out, the government will hold on to it, but they might do that because the only reason why it hasn't been sold off is because they've got some, of course, some contractual problem, and but they need to do a lot of dredging, and then the railway lines that were supposed to be helping with conveying raw materials into the complex are not completed. But this ain't true because those railway lines are completed already. You know, the dredging has been done several years ago. It might need a little bit of touch up. You know what I mean? Like a little more dredging. You know what I mean? Because of water flows and it brings the sand over a period of time. So yeah, maybe they will need to do a little bit more, but I don't think that that would have been an excuse. So he was coming out to say all of these things like there are no history that people can go back to and say, hey, hang on a minute, you said this 5 years ago. Why are you spinning it now? Yeah. So bottom line is, yeah, the government wants to hold on to it. You know, it wouldn't give the private society the chance to do anything about it. And without it, it would not be possible for us to be able to generate enough power, right, for Nigeria to go anywhere. I don't know if you heard about Shimamanda. She was in Germany, I think about a few months ago, and that's when we eventually got to realize that what the government was cooking for us, telling us about Siemens is coming to finish off the next line of lies, the next line of building uh, um, uh, generating complex that will take our generation to something like 25 within 3 years or something like that. Now, Shimamanda spoke to the German chancellor, and we found out that the contract has been cancelled. So that's not going to go ahead. It means that we're going to be stuck on what we've got now, which is something in the region of 13,000 megawatt, if you believe them. Yeah. So the issue now is pretty much that the only way that this can be sorted out if the present government is not right in administration, and we are, because they will just keep playing the same game. Uh,
Yeah, it's really sad, and there is no over emphasizing or overflogging the issue because it's just what it is.
mm, I mean, but I mean, why? I mean, you have you've got a little bit of insight into what's going on with our politicians, our leaders now. Um, I mean, especially the ruling party. I mean, what do you think is really behind um, their not doing something like a Kuta when it's not even there is, you don't need to be smart to figure out that, yeah, if you finish a Kuta, then there will be steel, and yeah, steel is needed for everything. Why do you think they can't use still a little bit of money? I mean, because they can't, they will not stop stealing. You know, the system is not there to stop them from stealing, but at least get that kind of thing done so the country can move forward. What's the rationale? What are they thinking about? Do you have an idea, Dr. Mo?
Yeah, I want to hear from John and other people, like people that are just coming in. Let's get some perspective before I jump in. John, what do you think? I see you're new to Clubhouse.
Uh, Hello, good evening, everyone.
Evening.
Good evening, John.
I'm having little issues with my network since yesterday, so it has been so difficult for me to catch up. But I'm trying my best to see how I'll be catching along. So, in terms of the Nigerian government, I believe if there is anything that will help the masses, the politicians are not after it, no matter the outcome, no matter the benefit. So they always want to carry an agenda that will always make or bring the masses under them so that there will always politics square.
Okay.
That is why different people to the politics of Nigeria.
Okay.
Can you hear me now? The network is breaking again at my
Has
end.
always been oppressed. So they know what is good for the country, but they will not do it. Hello?
Go ahead,
Hello?
John, if you can hear me.
Thank you. Go out and come back again. The network is not. Hello?
Go ahead. We can hear you, John.
The network is so bad. I have to go out and come back again.
It's, okay. Okay, do that then. Then we'll see if should get better. No. Yes. See, that's kind of thing we're talking about. Basic network facility. Just to hook up on the phone and enjoy something that people enjoy all over the world. I mean, we've got okay. I mean, we've got something, but it could be a lot better than what it is now. I mean, if we're gonna do something, we might as well just make it work reasonably well. Yeah. So the kind of situation that we're in, yeah, something's got to be done about it. So John is back. Do you want to give it a go, John? See whether the network is a little bit better. Can you hear me, John? Okay, he's just back. It's going slow. Okay. If you can hear me, it's
Yeah,
okay. No,
I can hear you right now. Can somebody hello?
okay. I think John's. We just give John.
Me?
I would just take it over. So we will see whether your network gets better in a while, and then you can continue with your point. So yeah. So that's like I was saying. Yesterday we've established what the situation is with Ajaokuta, right, as well as a few states that have the kind of metals that we will be needing in being able to industrialize Nigeria. We talked about which states got what metal and how useful it would be for us. So it's just to give us an idea that okay, we've got some um, tools that we can play with. Uh, so we've got those raw materials as well that will be needed because the most important raw materials needed are like limestone and um, a reformed version of charcoal. It's called coke. What it's done with charcoal is they heat it up really hard, and then that reduces the concentration of carbon in it. So what's left is just mainly materials that are quite more inflammable. So that's what's used alongside limestone to melt iron ore down so steel can be made from it. So those raw materials are available in Nigeria. We don't have to import them. Uh, and then the most important material is there as well, iron ore. Uh, so once we've got that, we all just need to be able to build more facilities that can melt and process the iron ore so we can have more steel because that's going to be needed. We're going to be doing a lot of construction work, big construction work. So it's really vital. But what's really, really going to be needed, right, in being able to generate 100,000 megawatts of electricity within 4 years, right, would be the the ability to ensure that we can quickly build the complexes, right? The steel complexes, processing plants that are needed. So the easiest way to do that would be to concentrate on building what you call induction furnaces. Now, induction furnaces, they use a lot of electricity as opposed to what we use now, which are blast furnaces, which uses mostly uh, um, um, coal and a little some gas as well. So induction furnaces, because it uses electricity, we'll be able to build them in states that have iron ore, right? So we don't need to move them right from one state to another. So if we can do that, that will enable us to build a lot more complexes where we can just produce steel. And if we can do that, that means those states where those steel complexes are, we can build a lot of windmills, right? So that will enable us to bring to just concentrate on building a lot of wind turbines. Now, wind turbines, yeah, I mean it's the number one renewable energy source nowadays. Although it costs a lot compared to other ones, but it's it's a lot easier to build. Right. The materials are more expensive because it's just pure solid steel. But what's even more troublesome or more challenging is its erection. I mean, the actual transportation of those big blades right, to the sites where they're gonna be installed, and so it costs money now. But if we do them onshore, right, as opposed to offshore, then we have a better chance. It costs a lot less, and we will be able to build them a lot quicker than going onshore, offshore. So the strategy will be to concentrate on building onshore one, and then when we've got like, well, kind of a breathing space, where we've been able to work on the train system, the train railway system, and then we can start building the offshore one. Uh, those are, yeah, they cost more, but when you go offshore, you've got plenty of space. You know what I mean? As much space as you want. So that's one of the real advantages of going that way. So that's how we will be able to utilize steel that we have, because wind turbines, they are the one system that needed steel most. And because they're easy to construct and install, we can build plenty of them, uh, and then we can build them in different states. So if we do that, we estimate that we will be able to cover something like, yeah, 30,000 megawatts of electricity. I mean, that would involve building them in what they call farms. You just have a big space and you just put lots and lots of wind turbines into them, you know, and then so that will enable us to like just get one cabling system straight from their location to join the national grid, you know. So that's how we're gonna really take advantage of having lots of steel, and we're being able to process them, um, uh, to use them to our advantage. Uh, so do you have anything to say to what you've heard so far about how we plan to utilize steel to make wind turbines, and yeah, use it to generate as much as 30 megawatts? Anything you want to say on that, Doug? Is Dr. Mo there?
Yes, I'm going to jump in now. Just give me a minute.
Okay. Right. We have we've got only one visitor in the room now, so that's Madame keeping us company. It's we're hoping that people come and come later on to join us to get an idea how having adequate electricity will help us um, to be able to manufacture and produce things that we need in the country by ourselves, instead of having to import everything, which is what's really messing up our economy. The more you import, the more it costs. And when we keep borrowing dollars on top of that, uh, unending, then our problems become compounded and they get worse. So that's why we believe that concentrating on being able to manufacture and to produce is the only one thing that can bring our economic prosperity um, alive. Um, and the only one way to do that pretty much is to yeah, be able to provide adequate electricity, and that will encourage us to become more productive. Um, so that's really the situation with lack of electricity, adequate electricity provision in Nigeria. Um, so, Dr. Mo, if you're not ready, I would just I'll just get on with it. You know, now I would like to. So I've just explained what we need to do in order for us to be able to generate as much as 50,000 megawatts, sorry, 30,000 megawatts of electricity using wind turbines, which we will, of course, install in different states, especially the ones that have the possibility to produce steel. These will be states that have iron ore as natural resources already. So the strategy would just be to mine those resources and then melt them in the same states where they are, and then use those to provide, to produce wind turbines. And if we add it all together, we'll be talking about, yeah, 30,000 megawatts within 4 years. Very challenging, but it's possible if we have the ability, we have the knowledge to be able to manufacture and produce. So that's really the advantage of being in that position where that knowledge is available and we can implement it to get what we want. So the idea will be basically to provide up to 100,000 megawatts. Now we have wind turbines providing 30,000 megawatts. So we have something like 70,000 megawatts to go. All right. Now, with 70,000 megawatts, we need to look at one factor very quickly, which is, of course, what we have underground now in Nigeria as it is. We have something like 13,000 megawatts. If you believe what the government is saying and what the Minister of Power, Engineer Maman, what he said last time he spoke about it, which was back in, yeah, 2020. Now he claims we have 13,000 we're generating, but we actually have we're transmitting and distributing something in the region of 5,000. I still find that 5,000 a little difficult to believe. I think um, yeah, if you put into consideration what people are saying and how many times you hear about, you know, um, power not available, I would think we're still pretty much in the region of 3,000, 3,005, sorry, 3,000 and 3,500 megawatts of distribution, so transmission and distribution. But if we assume that they're right and we've got 13,000 megawatts already, so we can pretty much just divide that 13,000 from the 70,000 left, right? So that means that we will have, yeah, less than 70,000, something like 57 more to go by. Now, how do we deal with the 57 that's left? Now, there are a few things that we can do. Um, now, apart from using wind turbines, which is a renewable energy, we would also use hydro, which is, of course, hydroelectricity system that uses running water to generate electricity. At the moment in Nigeria, we have something like 1800, so 1800 megawatts that we have, which of course is about 14% of the total amount of energy that we generate in Nigeria at this moment. You know, so if we assume that we have about 1,800 megawatts that we have um, on hydro now, um, there's a good chance that we can increase in that because the composition of the 1,800 that we have now are all of the ones that are in operation already. But there is one that the government is working on. They reckon it will be ready for 2027, right? So, yeah, in 6 years' time. Now we're talking about the Mandela Project. Now, now the Mandela Project is something that yeah started quite a few years back, but what they're doing now is they want to provide as much as 3,050 megawatts of electricity, right, from the Mandela hydro power plant. Well, how are we going to finance that? Or how is the government planning on financing that? Yeah, well, they're borrowing money from the Chinese. Guess how much it's going to cost? 4.8 gigantic billion. That's a lot of money. I mean, that's what they say. Of course, we don't see the contract, so we just have to go by how much they say. So 4.8 billion it's going to cost, right, to generate 3,050 megawatts of electricity by hydropower project. I'm not going to say it's a daylight robbery, but it's very, very expensive. Yeah. So if we can generate 3,050 from that, and we already have something in the region of 1,800, right? So we'll be in a good way to say, okay, then we should be able to maybe 5,000. So we can have a rough estimate of 5,000 from hydro electricity generation. So with 5,000 from hydro, 30,000 from wind turbines, we need another power generation system to complement all of these. And of course, it has to be renewable as well, because that makes sense. So the next renewable that we're targeting on working on will be the provision of solar power. There is a rough estimate, right, of solar power generation now. Um, I don't know, maybe only a couple of thousand megawatts, and these are mostly privately used or in government complexes and things like that. So there is no really no state's plan that's really, I mean, really component, you know what I mean? And there is no national plan either. So, but we believe that we can generate as much as 15,000 from solar power. I mean, the estimate could have been a little bit more, but because the solar cell itself, it's not something that we can start producing ourselves because of the kind of materials that are used in making them and the level of technology that's used in making them. It would have been something that we can tackle, straight away. Of course, we will do that as soon as we have a reasonable level of electricity generation and we can start building up various industries, especially the industry that will be that will be dealing with exploring, extracting, exploring and extracting our natural resources. So we will not be embarking on trying to start producing solar cells ourselves. But everything else that's used, right, in solar system panels, right, to make a complete product, we will be making them ourselves. So that that means everything structural that's got to do with metals or plastics or wood or anything else apart from the cells, we're making them ourselves. So that means that the production cost will be pretty low because we're only importing the cells. We believe that we will be able to definitely generate as much as 15,000 because we have the space. And most importantly, we've got the sunshine. Uh, and what's really good about it, it shines all over the country. And we have a longer sunshine period in a year than, of course, the Western world, but a lot of African countries as well, apart from the ones who are like in the north part of Africa. So we've got plenty of sun and we've got plenty of space, and there is plenty of us, of course. So the label is available as well, you know. And if we have steel and we have plastic as well because we have oil, so we can produce plastics and acrylic and those kind of things. We have good forest, so we've got wood. So everything that we need apart from the actual solar cell themselves, we can import that. Sorry, we can produce that. So if we can do that, that means we would save on home. We have 100,000 megawatts of electricity. Do, do we have a question from anyone from what I've just explained? Anyone has question? If you have a question, you can request to come on stage and ask your questions so we can address it. Dr. Mo, any comment? Sam, any comment?
Um, Hey, hello, Richard. I saw the topic. That's why I actually came up. Um, yeah, I heard your explanation. A quick question. Do you think if all things be equal, the government is willing, the private sector is there, the equipment is ready, everything is ready, is it possible for Nigerian to have 1,000 megawatt electricity in 4 years?
Um, Great question, Sam. Yeah, but I'm sure you know the answer to that. Um, if you're referring to this present government, is that what you're talking about? This present?
No, no, no. I said everything be equal. We have the finances, the government is willing, private sectors are in, equipment is ready. Do you think it's possible to achieve 1,000, 100,000 megawatts in Nigeria in 4 years? In 4 years.
I mean, I can answer to that. It's very achievable, and that's because if you even going right now, Nigeria is able to. We have a fundamental problem, but Sam, to answer your question, is yes, it's possible when you combine from solar to hydro to all the forms of energy that we are able to generate even at the moment. What we generate currently, we're not able to distribute even half of that. So there's a fundamental problem with Nigeria. You know, our problem is there's a bottleneck in the bureaucracy of the power to be able to transmit. And this is where, again, listening to all professionals and all kinds of people, the fear is we need a radical um, government that is willing to dismantle the foundation and set up another structure, you know. And I've been part of forums where this discussion has been done. But in terms of generation, like you rightly said, in 4 years, all things being equal, we can actually generate, Nigeria can generate much more than that. And the reason is because we have, if you look at the six geographical belt, you know, they all cut across Nigeria. You know, so whether you want solar or you want whatever source that is required for energy generation in the world, Nigeria has it. I mean, the dump yards are more than overwhelmed. Sunlight is too much. Hydro is overwhelmed. You know, so we can, and much more than that. But again, it comes down to the how and the when and how to go about it. But in terms of possibility, Nigeria definitely can exceed that in 4 years.
Okay, well, the reason I asked the question is I personally get involved in the actual construction of these facilities, from substations to transmission lines, um, to dams, hydro dams, and all. Even I have an hands-on experience on gas turbine. So I looked at it. An average wind turbine, the maximum it can, I mean, an average wind turbine produces 5 kilowatts of energy. So that's just one. Then Kenji Down that we have currently, the installed capacity is 760 megawatts. So that's still less than 1,000 megawatts. Solar panel, an average solar panel for household is just 1 kilowatt, um, up to 5 kilowatts of energy. Then you look at gas turbine. An average gas turbine produces from 500 kilowatts to 5.5 megawatts. So if you look at these micro pieces and all you are talking about, do you know the numbers of installation that you are going to have 10,000 megawatts? And do you know how many transmission line construction, right of way clearance, survey, steel procurement from perhaps Turkey and India? Do you know how many manpower you have to have on the right of way to erect these structures? You know how many helicopters, if you want to use the helicopter erection method, you know how many helicopters you're going to have within 4 years for you to achieve 10,000 megawatts? I think sometimes my problem is not the 100 megawatt. My problem is that duration, 4 years, is based on my construction experience, not just 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, more than 10 years. I will tell you 100% impossible for you to achieve 100 megawatts in 4 years. That's why I asked the question if the government is willing, even shipping the transformer, the inductance, the different capacitors and all from South Korea, one of the leading manufacturer. You know how many days you are going to be on sea, then get to what's it called, Lagos port or Port Harcourt port or wherever. Do you know how many the right of the passage for you to carry this heavy equipment? Do you know the kind of, it's not, your roads are not even built for the weight of these transformers. You have to practically check all the roads, remove the current wherever there's overhead bridge that is low, or wherever there's what's it called, utility poles that are low for this. I mean, even here in Canada, I can see the challenges. Sometimes some of this heavy lifting trailers to carry this transformer. They are not even in Nigeria. You have to practically ship them from the US. Mammoth. I saw one in what's it called? Dangote used one recently in lifting those distillation towers in the refineries. So I think when we are looking at these things, we need to really look at it as a project management perspective and look the holistic area. I'm not going to government issues and all. I'm just saying government is winning, the money is there, the investors is there. But I want us to look at the logistics involved in it a lot, the human resources involved in it a lot, the combination of scope and all. So we should not be putting duration that are unrealistic. I built one of my largest projects here was 1,600 kilometer lines from Lagos to Maiduguri is less than 1,600 kilometer, you know, and that lines cost the for us to complete it. It took us 3.5 years, and even with the terrible weathers and all, we are talking. I mean, I don't want to go far. It's far more than that in actual
No,
construction. So I
no,
think
sir, maybe you respond. Sorry for cutting you short, but maybe thank God you're an expert. And your question was, I had to listen to you. And yes, I'm an environmentalist, and I hear you. And I don't even want to begin to give time duration to countries and nations who have done a lot and surpassed even this. You said, if all things being equal. Let me tell you one of the things that will happen if all things have been equal. Do you know the capacity of Ajakuta? Nigeria would not need to bring in any steel. As a matter of fact, we will be giving steel to the rest of Africa if Ajakuta were to function at even half its capacity. If things were to work, that was your answer. You said, if everything being equal. Sam, with what I know, we will surpass this, even with the analogies and something you are saying. That was your question. But you came back to now begin to talk about the bottlenecks, the problems, the logistics, and all. Of course, if you go that route, 16 billion was invested during Obasanjo's regime, and there was nothing to show for it because of these kinds of problems that that embody Nigeria with the bottlenecks and the bureaucracies. Even the things we're supposed to naturally produce at home, we have to. Even toothpicks are being shipped into Nigeria. So what are we talking about? If you go in this timeline, even 100 years from now, it's impossible for us to be able to do anything. But if I go with your question, Sam, if your type and your likes, we all come back. Emeagwali was the one that postulated. He came here and begged during Jonathan's government that he could, and after that he vowed that he will never come back to this country again. For free, he was given a technology that can allow for the exploration of gas and oil in this country, but he was thrown away. This is the point we're making. For less than not even half. What he was putting is a new technology, not what Shell and all these other companies Mobil are using. But we turned it down because the way Nigeria function is like, even with the electricity we have today, Nigeria can still be daylight with the production. And you, thank God it's your field, you can attest to it. But we can't even transmit it. And why can't we? With all there are the cartels that are dealing with generator importation into Nigeria will kill and wreck anything that will make anything to work in this country. I understand it can be stringent and tough in terms of the timeline, but it's not impossible. That's my point. You can respond.
okay. When I mean all things being equal, in Nigeria means excluding political, and because when we give example, we always give example of the political will of the government. So that's why I use the example. Let's assume the government is willing, the money is available, the investors who are ready to do it, be it Siemens, be it GE, be it Hydro, whoever foreign partners we are bringing, or even being the Kapatura from Indian, whoever we want to make use of, whatever, let's assume they are available. For sure, those are the existing political and economic angle that's okay. Let's assume it's available. For sure, I'm not. Ajakuta is moribund. I won't put Ajakuta because currently it's not producing. So putting Ajakuta or its functioning into capacity will not work at this point because that becomes uncertain. But the ones that we can easily control politically, if the president is willing. So that's why I use that word. Um, the other one was okay, Emeguele, Philip. I don't want to talk about Philip Emeguele, but you can know most of the things he claimed was all fraud, and not just in Nigeria, even in US, he had issues with the government over there. So we should not really use Philip as a good example at this point. Um, yeah. What I'm trying to push is okay, you $6 billion from Obasanjo time. Do you know that 6 billion from Obasanjo time was able to raise Nigeria install capacity to about 12 to 15,000 sorry 12 to 15,000 megawatts based on install
No, that's not
capacity.
correct.
Yeah?
That's not correct. Obasanjo actually um, contracted, gave a contract to his son, right? And he pretty much messed it up, right? So they didn't raise the amount of megawatts that the country was producing then. So you can go check, go check your record on that. The story is still there, what his son did, you know. So go check the story in that. So continue. I just want to just.
Okay. Yeah, I know. Okay, I'll repeat again. Do you know based on that six 6 or 7 or whatever $billion that was invested into power, most that was able to raise Nigeria installed capacity up to 12 to 15 thousand megawatts. The reason I emphasize on the word installed, there's difference between installed capacity and capacity available to wheel out to the people. So what do I mean? You can go to any maybe Kainji Dam now. You can go to Kainji Dam. Kainji Dam might have like 6 turbines. I've never been there, so I'm just giving a hypothetical situation. It might have 6 turbines. I may even Google it and check. It might have 6 turbines. We find out that for a long time, even for years, perhaps it's only 3 turbines that is working. So when we say install capacity, we are talking about those 6 turbines if they were working. So also the various gas plants in the Niger Delta. I was in Port Harcourt during the time Shell gave out their turbine in I forgot it now. Shell had a turbine in one of this community. He gave it to the federal government. Odili, I was there in Port Harcourt. Odili did this gas turbine in Lekaya. My house was at Oginigba, which is just will I say 5 poles or 6 poles from Elekaya gas turbine plant. There was one there. Then there was another one in all these other communities and also so many gas plants were also raised. Even this man that later had Arik Airline, he was also a big benefactor of this investment. He brought so many he installed so many what's it called gas turbine to increase our capacity. But the question is, those turbines right now, are they working up the capacity? Are they moribund, or was it a scam, or that is a different question entirely. But based on the last audit, we could say we have more than 12,000 megawatts install capacity. So if we look at the various, even during the time of what's his name, Fashola, that's why I love. Though Fashola was a lawyer, I am an engineer. I didn't want him on that position, but he did very well. He was able to tell you, I have some innovation going on. It will be able to tell you each of these generating units. I think we are like 16, 15 or 16 then. Which one is online, which one is not working, what is the issue, the technical problem. They have the breakdown on the Ministry of Power website. Then it will tell you that, it will even tell you how much they are transmitting, how we are able to get our current 3,000 or 5,000 megawatt that we are. In fact, it's barely up to 5,000. Let's say 3,005 to 4,000 megawatts of power that we currently add. There was this breakdown. Then, if you look at it, there were technical reasons for this: gas shortage, vandalization of piping, unavailability of gas,
Round up, please, Sam.
condensate. Okay, I'll round up. Condensate. Some of these even turbines, as at the point, were not even having source of gas to power them and all. Kaijin down, what is the problem? Low volume, high volume, one turbine is down and all. You could see them. They were all practical, technical issues. And that is why I keep telling Nigerians, we have to go back and fix our labor. Our emphasis on university education producing engineer is not doing us good. The people on the field, the technicians, they are not trained. The craftsmen, they are not trained. Those are what the government need to also focus on. And that is the people who move the economy of any developed country. These skilled people. I'll rest for now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sam. And Dr. Mo, thank you for your reply to Sam's before he answered. You made really valuable points. Now, Sam, I appreciate your points, but you see, the first problem, right, with your contribution, right, is the fact that if you look at the title of this room, right, it says Part Two, right? It's provide 100,000 megawatts of electricity within 4 years, part two. Now, the part one was yesterday, right? And yesterday we talked about all of those things that you talked about now, because those are the basic fundamentals, right, that will enable us to be able to do all of these things that we're talking about tonight. Tonight, you're also a little bit late because we did a quick walkabout of what we talked about yesterday. So if you had been early, you would have caught up with that, and then all of those information that you missed out on, you would have had them, and then you wouldn't have been talking the way you're talking now, because a lot of things would have been a lot clearer to you. Now, I'm going to try and quickly touch back on those things so you can have a little picture in front of you. That will help you to see what we see, what we believe that it can be done within 4 years. Now, a quick roundup. Now, yesterday we talked about Ajaokuta, right, still complex. And then we touched also on provision of aluminium. Right. Now, we talked about what resources we have in the country, and then we emphasize on the fact that there are three major ones that are super important, right? Steel, aluminium, copper, those ones, right? Now, do we have them in the country? Yeah. We have a few states, more than one state that that's got these natural resources available to them. Now, which role is Keta Party playing in these? When you started, you said all other things being equal. Now, we will assume that we're saying that we will have the capacity to manufacture, produce, and industrialize. So we're talking about a country that has the ability, right, to manufacture itself, to produce as well, because it's only when you are in that position that you'll be able to produce the most important components of all of these products and operations, so that it will be possible to do it within that specified period of time. Now, we have to assume that Qatar is in power. Well, Qatar is in administration. And we have that ability, we have the knowledge, the ability, and the capability to manufacture and produce. That means that we do not have to import steel no more. We don't have to import aluminium no more. And we don't have to import copper no more because we have iron ore that we can produce steel with. We have bauxite that we can produce aluminium with. And we have copper ore that we can produce copper with. So we have all of those things that we need. Those are the most important part that we need. We have them. And we have the knowledge, right, to melt them down, cast them into different forms, right, and then use them to produce finished goods and products. So if we can do all of those things, again, that kills importation. So that means that we have those metals, and what we're talking about is all of the states that have the ability, right, or that have iron ore as natural resources, or have bauxite as natural resources, or have copper ore as natural resources. They there we will build, right, melters to deal with bauxite. When we build melters to deal with bauxite, means we don't have to import aluminium no more. Now, when we build steel producing complexes like Ajaokuta, right, when we're able to build furnaces, right, that, for example, are in Ajaokuta now, which are like blast furnaces, right, they also have some induction furnaces there, right. When we're able to build these things, right, and we're able to do them strategically, so they are in places where the most needed raw materials are located. That means that we can produce those things that we need. We will have those metals were in the right places. It means that we can produce, for example, wind turbines, right, in those places. Now, if you look at the map of Nigeria, you will know that a lot of the bauxite and so bauxite and iron ore are located mostly, right, for example, alongside our waterways line, right, River Niger, Benue, and runs down, right, to south. So we've got waterways there. So what we need to do is to concentrate, right, on making sure that we have a complementary transportation system that can help us take those materials or those steel, right, into other parts of the country. Now we have reasonable railway lines, right, and the ones that are constructed in Abuja, right, they are dual lanes. Right. So that means they are strong enough, right, to take materials in and out of Ajaokuta and also take finished products out of Ajaokuta. If they need it, if we're going to need more, of course we're going to do more. But we're going to be in a situation where we're able to even build, right, more burners, right, in Ajaokuta because that complex is pretty big. Yeah, it has 48 complexes that have different that specializes on different metallurgical work. So that includes where they can even they build in or cast probably components of transformers and things like that. But when we are uh, in administration, we'll expand Ajaokuta, have more burners, and utilize all of those complexes that they have. So all of these things will enable us to be able to work faster and more efficiently. And because we have that knowledge, so we don't have to wait for experts from abroad or from wherever to help us. Then we can just concentrate on actually making those things and making them as fast as possible. So I'm hoping that you get the way I just roll you through what happened yesterday, the things that you missed out on, and also what we talked about today before you came along, and that should give you an idea of what we're talking about. So now I'll just quickly touch on the hydro part of it because you talked about kanji, right? Um, Now, all of the hydros that we have now, right, total something in the region of um, 1,820, and that's actually about 14% of the total generated hydroelectricity in Nigeria. You know, and that of course comprises all of the dams that we have in Nigeria, which include of course the Kanji Dam that you talked about. But what you didn't mention is Mambila project. Oh, I think you mentioned it. Now, Mambila is expected to fetch as much as 3,000 something, 3,050 megawatts of generation, right? Um, it's expected to finish in 2027, but that means that there is an audit already done on it, right? If the government of Nigeria can estimate it 2027, that means that we can fasten it up because we do not need to wait for anything imported. We can start the machines that are needed, all of the components that are needed. We can make them ourselves because we can start. We can we have the knowledge to manufacture, and there are certain things that we can use what we call reverse engineering for that will enable us to quickly build these things as much as possible. So that's how we're planning on dealing with that. So what we planned for hydro is possible because we can generate as much as 5,000 from hydro when you put into consideration the fact that Mambila will come into play. And when we talked about the thermal system, right, which of course includes right using fossil fuel, basically using blast furnaces and induction furnaces, right, we can generate 50,000 within 4 years. We can because we can do all the planning the first year, and we start once Ajakuta is completed. Right, the steels are available, aluminium is available, and we can start manufacturing all of the components that are needed um, for those complexes to be built. They can be built within a year, and all of the equipment and tools that are needed could be all sorted out within 2 years. And then we talked about solar. You know, now solar will be reasonably easier because we don't have to import the raw materials that are needed. The sun shines all of the time, it's there. And we've got this space. So the only thing that we will need to import with solar panels will be the solar cells themselves. Now, solar cells are not expensive at all. What makes it expensive is really everything that's built around it, the plastics, the glass, the aluminium panels, and then of course plenty of copper, and there's some sensors, converters, So those things we can make ourselves. The only thing that we can't do is just the solar cells, and the only thing we're not going to be doing solar cells is because we would need some special machines that will be used, and we don't have a plan to go into manufacturing those machines straight away because we want to concentrate on manufacturing um, um, uh, well, constructional machines. So machines that will be used in constructions, like cranes, bulldozers, the things that we're using exploring and also extracting the natural resources. So that's where the concentration is going to be at, and that's why we will not be trying to make those cells. So they will be imported, but everything else we can do it. So that's the situation, and you said something about, the installed capacity is 13,000. Yes, we talked about that as well. That's what Mammon said. But in my opinion, when I look at the way um, those sources are rated, right, and the audit, I don't believe that we're generating 13,000 this time. I am not sure that, so the installed capacity is, in my opinion, is not 13,000, less than that. Because how can you justify when installed capacity is 13,000 and you're only transmitting something like 3,000 or 3,500 and distributing 3,500? I mean, so basically, almost half of it, right, is wasted. I mean, I understand there are some plants that are not working, but I think the real problem really lies in transmission there. That's why we're losing a lot of energy. If we look at the cabling system, our substation systems, the faces, constructions, and of course, all the little components like plugs and switches and those are the buggers. Those are the ones that are creating a lot of shutdowns all of the time. That's making us waste electricity. When we have the ability, the knowledge to produce all of those little components, then we can reduce loss of energy generation. So I hope you understand um, the our plan and our strategy for achieving this. Does that answer your questions, Sam?
Um, kind of, because I have not seen any development that solely rely on um, domestic manufacturing to boost their development. Um, e- Even when you have your Ajakuta running, the metric tons of steel that you will need for this construction, Ajakuta might not even be able to provide it. You still have to source from other countries. So even
If I may quickly jump in on that, do you know where we get our iron ore from in Nigeria? Where they are deposited?
yeah, sure. We have some within that vicinity of Kogi, and we also have some in Delta State, some few other states. I'm not too sure of now, but I'm sure of those two states. Yeah.
Okay, so just in Kogi alone, there are three big deposits there in Itakpe, Ajabanoka, and Oshokoshoko. Just those deposits alone is more than enough for what we actually need to provide that level of electricity. I'm not even talking about other states, just Kogi alone. Do you know that?
I think we don't base our assumption on prospective or seismic results. So this is just these are more like an estimate. So until you start mining, until you start extracting these resources, you might not know for certain. So let's not
The
dwell on. Let's not.
extractions that are going on in these places I'm talking about. Other
So
states as well, in Bauchi, in Kwara, Benue. Do you know
okay,
that? So the
okay,
deposits are there.
okay. I agree with you. Okay, I agree on that. Okay, but the truth is, for you to move on right now, you don't have to wait for your extractive industry or wherever. You have to make. Look, we're talking about construction, strictly construction. Get this material wherever they are in the world, source them and get them. If you want to develop your local capacity, fine, that is good. That is a different aspect entirely. That is manufacturing, which is also great. But who told you because Indian supply steel that all the iron ore are from India? No, there's this sort of raw
Yeah, but
material from all over the
hold on a
world.
minute. If you have enough iron ore, why is there a need to keep importing some? Unless you need different grades. But if you have the right grade and you can explore them, you can extract them, you can process them. What's the point in importing others? Unless there is what you call a comparative advantage, which means that it's costing you more to explore, extract, and process, um, as opposed to importing them. But we're not going to be in that situation.
Okay, Richard. Okay,
Uh,
Richard.
uh,
Richard.
But some is like saying that we need to, because our petrol production or importation does not reach, we're still having shortage of oil, that we need to now, if Dangote's refinery is ready, for example, in 2021 or so, that we would have to bring in crude oil into Nigeria. That kind of comparison, like we
No, no,
need to
no,
make.
no, no. That's not the comparison. My comparison is that Richard. Right now, we need to hit the ground running. Right now, we need to get 100,000 megawatt. Let's start now. That's my view. So, do you want me to wait for until we get Ajakuta working, until we start getting all those mineral process and get raw material? Nobody's waiting for those things. You have a mandate to construct and get this thing running. You have to source material wherever it's available. If it is not available locally, you go internationally. You can't wait until Ajakuta start running. If you want Ajakuta to run and get the materials and all, that is a different discussion entirely.
okay,
Iron and steel is a different discussion.
Sam, you know how long we've been waiting on that Jalkuta for? 47 years. You know that, right?
Perfect,
So,
perfect.
so would it kill us to wait another few years if we are in administration and we get it working? Can you compare that to waiting 47
Yeah,
years?
but the Egyptians that just added 14 megawatts to their power, they never waited for their what's it called extractive industry to be up to capacity. Countries that are moving forward, they are not waiting. We need to stop giving excuses. This is construction. Get the money, get the materials, and let's move on. So that's why let us. Sometimes we Nigerians we like say, "Oh, this is not working. This is not working." Nobody's waiting for you. Even advanced countries, some industry are collapsing every day by day. There is rapid competition in the world. Even the
Okay,
U.S. industry are collapsing.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Sam,
I
if
mean,
you think
Richard,
you're
you're waiting for
talking about
Ajakuta to pick up, you're
the
waiting for
present
I
nothing.
agree.
government, right?
Richard, I'm coming
You're
just a
talking
minute.
about the present government. Yes, that's
Yes,
right. But we're not talking about the present government
we're
because
postulating. Sam, I agree completely with your submission in terms of the examples you made. I mean, that's perfect. If you juxtapose that on the current realities and leadership and the mindset, because something you said that was very, very critical for me is how we have done education in this part of the world. Our engineers, our computer, whatever, we don't build our roads, we don't build our houses, we don't build our airports. The Chinese do all of that. Now, the ideology that drives the way we do things, Sam, is this. And I don't think we're saying different things. It's just that the way we need to look at it. I see what you're saying, and that's the status quo. Sam, if a Jokuta cannot work, whatever amount of money
you put down for us to bring in these things, it will not work. This is why Nigeria is not working. Those countries that you're mentioning, Egypt and other places that are able to add those megawatts to whatever they have, there's an undercurrent narrative that allows things to work. If we're going to be able to bring in those things from outside and make it work in Nigeria, I can assure you that Ajakuta will work. This is our problem, and we must be able to look at it holistically, because yes, it will sound like making excuses, but let's bring the money now. It is not even the lack of imputing money into electricity generation that is not allowing us to have electricity. It's the fact that there's a system in place that, regardless of how much you pump into it, the same, how do you put it now, for lack of a better word, the same demon that does not allow the Ajakuta to work is the same demon that, no matter the amount of money you put into it for these things to come in, it will still pass through another way and be lost. I don't know if you're seeing the argument we're making. That's why fixing the polity is mandatory. It's a must. We can't make excuses around this area because,
Dr. Mo,
honestly, yes.
let me give you the bad news. Ajakuta will never work. Ajakuta is obsolete. All the installed equipment there is obsolete. You want Ajakuta to work, we will be building a new Ajakuta and replacing most of the, in fact, more than 70% of those equipment. Let me just give you the news. So let's not beat around the bush. The Russians that built that Ajakuta, their technology has even moved higher than that. They've moved, they've gone. So
Okay,
just want to tell you
Sam,
that.
let me quickly jump in there. Again, you talking about a lot of things that we've talked about yesterday and earlier on today. We have people who work in Ajaokuta. We know people who know Ajaokuta, who've been inside Ajaokuta, who can give us real audit about Ajaokuta. Yeah. And one of them, welcome, Brother Yemi. Our brother here, he knows Ajaokuta very well. He's been in there for several years. He's been trying to get Ajaokuta to work. He knows about Ajaokuta more than both of us put together. So we know about what's going on in Ajaokuta. We know the present situation, despite all of the lies that the government is feeding to people, the actual situation there, we know it. All right. So that the point that we're trying to make is, without changing the administration, just like what you said, it wouldn't work. They've been stealing Ajaokuta for over 40 years. They will keep stealing it. And it wouldn't work, just like what you said, unless there's a different government, right, that has the knowledge, the ability, and the capability, right, to implement a manufacturing economy that will enable us to industrialize Nigeria. It wouldn't work. So I agree with you on that level. But if we're in a situation where we can make all of these things ourselves, when the knowledge is there, all of these things are possible. China, right, built, right, a wind turbine farms that generate 200 megawatts, right, in 1 year, one farm. So can you imagine what we can do in building different farms all over the country? So it's a possibility when the knowledge is there, the will is there, and the people are willing to make it work. Yeah? Do you still have any more comments, Sam?
Not really, but I I don't like us to, it's like talking about it's like talking about Nitel. It's like talking about Nigeria Airways. It's like, guys, let's move on. These things are dead. They are dead. Let's get new ones if we want to get. If we don't want to get new ones, let's progress. Get this moving. I mean, yes, I agree with you. Manufacturing is good, is key, and is everything. But when you don't have the capacity at that particular point, you are not going to wait, right? You are going to source these things from wherever in the world. Thank God we have these materials, but many countries don't have these raw materials. But this is source. This is such things and move on. So I just want us to look at it. If we keep dwelling on what is not working, we are not going to move forward. Let us keep moving. Let us keep moving. There's nobody's waiting for you. Ajakuta is obsolete. Ajakuta, I don't even know. Let me even check. How old is Ajakuta? We're talking about more than 30 years technology or 40 years technology. Come on, guys. Let us wake up. Let us wake up. Let us wake up. This has moved on. So I don't really want to comment much, but I think thinking about the back, our failures and all will not help us. We have to move, keep going. The truth is that I have not been. I mean, I've not been to Ajakuta, but as an engineer, a mechanical engineer, I beat my chest that 60% or 70% of those machineries or equipment they are obsolete, and you might not even be able to get a spare parts again for those materials. So let us for those machineries, even the assets. I mean, if you are a business, even though you are a business people, you know what is depreciation. Those equipment are fully depreciated by now. Come on, guys. I mean, I don't want to talk about that. Let's move on. We have failed. I mean, I'm not saying we have a lot of things that we have failed before, but if we want to move forward, we just have to move forward. Build a new refineries for petroleum. If or you total overhauling, not even maintenance, total overhauling of some of your refinery capacity. Ajakuta, the same thing. We have to move on. These are new technologies coming, and who tells you that those technology you are installing today might not be obsolete in 2 years' time or 3 years' time? We have to catch up. People are moving. It's a now that because of this IT trend, the development is so rapid that it is even difficult to catch up. Even US is doing catch up. Recently, they just have to do $1 billion plus infrastructural budget. It's not a joking world we are in now. So let's forget about the failure of the past and think of how to be innovative and make a new one and move ahead. We are the new generation. We are not going to be blaming Buhari. 2023, Buhari is going to retire. Buhari is going to have DSS to protect him for life. Buhari is going to have salary for life. He's going to, in fact, the Nigerian state will take care of Buhari for life. Let's not dwell ourselves about Buhari. We are the future now. We have to fight to get in and make sure we make our impact. Time is nobody's waiting. Our mates that we did master for, they are ruling their country now. They are beginning to enter political position in the UK. They are beginning to enter political position in the US. If we are still thinking we are going to say, oh, US, UK, come and help us, we are beginning to fail ourselves. So I think we should start thinking of let's move on. Move on. That's the way I look at it now. Nobody's waiting for anybody. It is a rapid race for everybody's running to catch up now. So forget. I'm not saying forget Ajakuta, but saying Ajakuta, there's some political things to make Ajakuta not working out. I think we are just dragging ourselves back. Ajakuta asset has depreciated. I'm so sure we can even get parts for those equipment. Overhauling will not make any use. Either you get a brand new um, equipment on that same site and proceed to your. I mean, some of the. I'm not saying everything is obsolete. Some of the not conveyor belt, some of the setup will definitely be relevant. Some of the, I don't know, let me say the conveyor belts or wherever, they might still be relevant or wherever. But for sure, a lot of those processing equipment is gone. We just have to think ahead so that we can move ahead and then achieve whatever we want to achieve. However, while we are doing that, we are not going to wait until we start having production output for us to do other things. If we have to source the material right now, let's source it and move ahead. Nobody's waiting for anybody. I agree with you. I respect manufacturing, although the world has advanced. World has moved into servicing. They are no longer in manufacturing, but we are catching up. We still have that manufacturing economy. before we even think of going to a service economy, But there's room for everybody in the world, but we just have to like move on and forget the failure of the past. I'll just use the mic at this point.
Okay, I think Brother Yemi Aldo has something to say to your comment in that. Please go ahead, Brother Yemi.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. Uh, Brother Sam, thank you. I like your view on all those the about Ajakuta and Paul. I just
I
like
can
us
barely
to
hear you. I don't know if I'm the only one.
yeah. Okay, can you hear me now?
Aha, better.
Okay. Now, yeah. All right. About issue of Ajakuta, you see, Tango, you said you are from mechanical engineering. I'm a metallurgical materials and metallurgical engineering background, so I know much pretty well about Ajakuta. I've been there, and let me use an analogy of the invention of charcoal stove. Up till today, charcoal stove is still being in use. We can't say it's obsolete because the purpose which it's serving still remain the same. So the same goes to steam engine. Steam engine up till today is still in use. So we we can also a very good example is about let's say about furnace. Okay, if you look at a furnace, let's take a muffle furnace for instance. There was a couple of some that have been abandoned in my own department. A muffle furnace, they use a heating element. The problem the thing had is just to modernize it. Look at new things that need to be modernized. But the basic thing, up till now, that I will tell you for sure that the heating coil of that Murphy furnace that was in my department for I don't even know how long it was there because I met it there. It's still working very fine. But the only thing is that the operating system, which is the control unit that we're supposed to use to control the temperature, were bad. So, as an engineer, I had to look at, okay, now let me look at this technology we have now. We now have a PID integrated with timer and all that. So then I can just bring those in, then control the heating instead of me abandon the whole thing. The refractory lining, when we say refractory, we're talking about the material that will be able to withstand high temperature is still there. It's still going to withstand high temperature anywhere you take it to. Why looking for another refractory and the whole thing when I already have a refractory lining, I already have a metal sheet that is already covering the furnace. So I'll just like, oh, it's an absolute technology, I'll just throw it away. That's not the case. Our case here about Ajakuta, I just use this as an analogy. Our case here about Ajakuta is just corruption. Till today, as I'm speaking to you, some of them are still planning to ship things. If it is absolute, why are they selling those things that are there? They should have just abandoned it and they will not sell it now. The cook there is the we don't have cocoa book code in Nigeria. During the time they want to kickstart those things, they import all those cocoa book code. Those cocoa book code now, if you go there, they've already shipped them and sell them. They are not even selling it in Nigeria. They are selling it up. They are shipping it out. Those, if you understand the level of corruption that is going on right in our face, you know, they know. That is why they don't want an audit about Ajakuta. Because if you audit them, you are going to have all the mess up. It's going to blow to their faces. So there is no way they are going to allow that Ajakuta to even work in the first place because they know the whole mess will expose to their face, and that is the reason they will not allow it to work. You understand? So talking about the technology being obsolete is not real, is not correct. Because if you look at it, the way and manner we still we may we I understand that the world has moved to servicing, but once we don't have tech, those people who are moving to service has already get it right in terms of manufacturing. Because if you don't get it right in terms of manufacturing,
Yemi, we lost you.
Yeah, me, are you there? It's like his network is.
we don't even have any. So as a person, I go methodology and materials is purely a manufacturing course. So in Nigeria, I'll find it difficult to get job. So the only place you can get job as a metallurgical and material, because even if you get a new materials, new materials are being developed year in, year out. So why are they developing new material? Because we want to, do things in a better way.
Okay, we're not hearing you, Yemi. I think is yeah, it's probably a network problem. Right. Okay. We will just continue until we have Yemi back, you know. Now, so far I'm hoping that Sam's understood the point that Yemi was also trying to make, which is basically the fact.
That's has
Okay,
industrialized.
okay, he's going like he's back, but he's not back. You know. Now, now the point that Yemi is trying to make is yes, Sam, you have a point. If things are the way it is now, right now, with the present government, yes, Ajakuta
Things
will
are
not
flat.
work.
Hello.
Hello,
Yeah.
okay,
Are you,
yeah, you're back. We lost
hello. Are
you
you with
for a
me?
short while. Hello,
Hello. Can you hear me?
yes, we can hear you now. Go ahead.
Okay. Okay. So what the point I'm trying to make is that the founding father that had the vision of industrializing this country started it with Ajakuta, and they know the reason. If you are not if you are not producing liquid steel, there is no way you can be found in the world. Look at South.
Okay, I think we've lost Yemi again. Right. Yeah, it's basically on
Hello,
that.
sorry, is my network.
Yeah,
Sorry,
we
sorry.
understand that. No problem. No
Yeah.
problem. Go
Okay.
ahead.
Okay, I'm trying to make a point that South Africa and Egypt, that we hear their name today as one of the leading country in Africa in terms of production, is because they are producing liquid steel. We are not producing liquid steel in Nigeria. There is no way we are going to be heard anywhere. Any country, look at the chart, look at those countries that is producing steel, look at where they are in terms of technology. So you cannot develop, if anybody is talking about any sciences, any development, you are going to come to materials. You need a material to build those things. The ICT world is developed today is because of material development. The solar energy we are using today is because of material development. If all those things are not working, Brother, we are not going nowhere. We can talk about servicing, but the manufacturing has to be there before you begin to service what you already have on ground. If you don't have anything on ground, what are you servicing? So we keep on importing finished products, and when when they are faulty, we cannot even repair them. We have to just abandon them again and look at how to import another fresh one. There was a time I was telling one of them, I said there was a time in Nigeria where all those Ghanaians were in this country. They were helping us to repair little things that are faulty. But now, if anything is faulty, what Nigerian person will do is to throw it away and look for a new one. We don't think about solution of solving, fixing thing again. So I think, though I understand that Ajakuta, because of the politics and the way they are painting it in such a way that we will believe that it will not work again. So let's just abandon it. Let another person just buy it so that we move ahead and all that. That is what they are painting. Even Delta Steel Company that was in the hand of private individual now, go and check it out. They are not doing anything. Even the people there are still complaining. Delta Steel, his own case was to use not pure raw material. All they need to use in Delta Steel is to get uh, scraps of steel, then recycle it. It's just like recycling plant, but it's only blast furnace that can produce from raw material. But if you are using arc furnace, you are to do recycling. You are not producing from beginning. That's the reason why Ajakuta is very important, because you use blast furnace that produce from the root, that is from the raw material. And when you are producing from raw material, you are generating more employment than when you are recycling. So thank you. Let me just hang on here so that we can proceed. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Brother Yeme. That's a really nice touch. I hope that that helps Brother Sam in understanding further the point that we have been trying to emphasize as well, which is basically the fact that, yes, with the present government, the way things are, yes, it wouldn't work because it's never worked and we don't look forward to it working. So the only way it would work if there is a change of government, when there are people there who have idea uh, about what things are supposed to be like. Now, I suspect that you don't know about us. So we are from a party called Keta Party, which is supposed to be a new political party that wants to industrialize Nigeria. We have the knowledge to be able to manufacture, produce, and industrialize. So that's why we're talking about things that are possible for us to do. When that knowledge is there, when that ability is there, when that capability is there, those things are not there right now. So all of the things that we're talking about, they can't happen. It's only when all of those things are in place that these things can happen, when we have a different government, right, who has the will, right, to actually do it, and not just let people steal the arms and feet and leg and head and shoulders away from the body. No, that wouldn't get us anywhere. But we're talking about a situation where we have a government that's willing to make it happen, you know. So our offer, our plan for Nigeria includes the possibility uh, to be able to manufacture, produce everything we need, or almost all of them, and then industrialize Nigeria. And with the right policies and strategies, we believe that we could uh, bring prosperity, right? With those things, when we deal with education, data management, housing, environment and tourism. We have a complete comprehensive plans and strategies that will ensure that when you combine high productivity, that's based on manufacturing and uh, uh, production of goods and materials, when you combine that with our policies that deals with job creation, that will enable us to create millions of jobs in different industries just because we can produce and manufacture. So when we have that, we will have prosperity. And when we are able to deal with all the aspects of our plans, which of course includes right, good judiciary system, good security, and most importantly, we're able to set up a system that ensure that our fundamental human rights are never infringed in our land, that our people are respected and treated as citizens, as human beings. When we're able to put all of this together, that's when all of these things can happen. And that's what we're planning on bringing to the table as a party. So that's why you will need to go and look a little bit more about what we are talking about. When you get that information, I believe everything will start to come into perspective for you. You will begin to see the picture that we see that enable us to think these things are for doing. These things are possible. These things we can do it. You know. So when you do that, I'm sure you'll understand. So where you need to go check, right, is if you read my profile, you will see our website there, the link to our website, cater.com.ng. There you will get the information needed, right, that will let you see why we're talking about what we're talking about. And then, where we are today, this is only the second part of these electricity um, provision. There is still a lot to talk about. There will be a part three and I believe part four because there are still a lot of things to touch on. Next, we're going to be talking about how to deal with individual states. How we work out what how much megawatts of electricity we believe that each state will be able to handle based on the industrialization plans in creating different businesses in different industries. And that's what we're going to be taking forward. So we will be talking about that next time. And then we will talk actually about the technical aspect of it, like how do we build this? How do we build that? What's going to be here? What's going to be there? So it will be very easy for you to see what we're talking about now. And we'll talk about the financing aspect of it as well. Where's the money going to come from? Where? How is it going to be done? Those kind of things. So it will be like pre start of the industrialization and then post that project. We'll be touching on all of those things so we can try and let Nigerians see that these things are possible when the right people are there. So I hope you're following us, Sam. Has it been any help to you?
Oh, sure, sure. I mean, I have no dispute. It's just that I hate when people start building this utopia kingdom. When you get that, that's when things will start working. It's gonna take forever. Um, you just have to do whatever you want to do. No, even in a dictatorial society, there's still development taking place. Most of Nigerian development took place during the military era, when human rights abuses was even high. Paul Kagame of Rwanda today is developing, but his human rights record is horrible. So if we think, I mean, to me, I'm just expressing myself. It's good. It's good to have human rights, respect for rule of law, manufacturing, what's it called? Manufacturing system are working. It's good to have it. But the question is when and how. So, do you keep your construction or your projects waiting because you don't have it? I have no issue. I totally agree with you. But we should look at it that in the human kingdom, it's not a perfect kingdom. Even advanced countries, they still have their abuses and all taking place, but in a much subtle, lesser way than what we currently have back home. And then you also have to look at the current trend. Most of this manufacturing are not run by the states. Rather, they are run by individuals, private individuals. The state just creates that enabling environment, the protection, the policy, the tariff, and every other necessary things to keep those people running. You know, as basic as blood collection in Canada is privatized, individual has the franchise to collect your blood and all, but it's still a government service. Your driver's license, the offices are owned by individuals, not even the government. Well, let me not speak for Canada, but for some provinces like where I stay, you know. So also Idorama was one of those moribund refinery in Port Harcourt, but today the Indonesia Malaysian company took it over, and they're doing great. Um, does that mean all privatization? Because Yemi talked about I think Ajakuta, no, Alaja in Delta State. Does it mean all privatization is going to be successful? Oh no, some privatization fail. I give you example, Ogbila Cement. There was a time it was privatized and it failed, but today another people took it over and is back to life. Yeah, privatization is going to fail. Some is going to fail. You don't stop there. You continue. Get a new investors and move on. That's what I'm trying to say. I just want us to like move. Let's move. Thinking that things are going to be perfect, everything's going to be working. There's nowhere in the world it's going to be like that. Let's keep moving, get into that state of perfection and all. Yeah.
When you say let's move, what do you mean? What should we be doing when you say let's move? What's your expectation?
Okay, let's move. Okay, based on the topic, 1,000 megawatts in 4 years. If we want to do it, first and foremost, I am yet to understand wind turbine capacity in Nigeria because, especially in the south, I think basically apart from Ebonyi, maybe Ebonyi state, I don't think there's no state in the south I've not been to. Right, I can't speak for the north, but from the south, um I have not seen where there's that wind high wind, constant high wind potential that you can install those turbines to spin those blades to get energy. Solar energy, perfect. Nigeria is a very good
Quickly,
place for.
just a minute. I'm just quickly jumping. So you will continue. You don't. There is an average wind that you need, right, for turbines to generate electricity, right? Um, there are lots of countries. Well, I'm in the Netherlands, right, and it's not as windy as the middle belt of Nigeria, right? Right. It's not as windy as the south of Nigeria, right? And so that means that those blades, those wind turbines can generate, right, the amount of energy that you expect from them. And then you just calculate how much of them you're going to need to be able to get the amount of energy that you want. You can't push It does not need to push. So it depends on the wind there, and we calculate how much energy we can get from each turbines, and then we know how much we can get from each farm, you know. And most importantly, have you heard of vibration turbines? Do you know what they are?
Vibration turbine should be the one that's from the water movement of this what's it called, the wave, and or vibrate them, and you can generate electricity for them. Yeah.
No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about another sort of wind turbines. Wind turbines usually have blades, like four blades or more sometimes. Vibration turbines don't have blades. They don't have no blades. They
Yeah.
have a
So what?
rotor inside the pole, right, that generates electricity. That's a new technology. There's another form of wind turbines, right, that's not vertical but horizontally built.
Yeah. Oh,
Do you know that?
so the vibration turbines, what caused the initial, what exact force on it to cause the vibration?
It uses wind. It's the way the pole are made. It's the rotor inside the pole.
Yeah.
They have sorts of, but when you have a generator in the pole, right, and it's the swivel they used in it that makes it spin, right, effortlessly, and that generates
Okay.
power. Do you get?
Okay. Richard.
So those can be used, right, in residential areas. They don't make no noise, nothing. You don't hear nada, right? And they can be installed quite easily because they can just be used in combination, even for cable pulling. We use high cabling in Nigeria, right? So these are kind of things that can also be disguised, right, and used for cabling. But those can be used in residential area, and then you've got the horizontal. The newest one is the horizontal blades, and they have a different design because the blades are not standing vertical; they're standing horizontally. You know, so that means that they can have lesser blades. That means
Yeah.
lesser metal, lesser steel. So there are lots of possibilities regarding wind turbines if you take into consideration the newest technology.
Okay. Richard, I want you, when we are talking about a country, you don't just bring experimental or low key technology or unproven on uh, we are talking about a large nation as Nigeria, so for now, wind turbine is one of the most relied on, even in anywhere in the world. Netherlands is just similar to Newfoundland, another island in Canada where I stayed for like 6 years. Though because of their location to the Atlantic, and to the shore, to the shore, there are some area, especially those, I won't say mountainous, but hilly area, that there's a kind of vortex, a large and strong vortex of wind in those area, and this cause.
There are no mountains in the Netherlands. It's the flattest country. No mountains.
No,
No
I said
mountains. And I'm talking about onshore. I'm not even talking about offshore. I'm talking about onshore.
yes, yes. I am saying no. I'm not talking the turbines are installed offshore. They are installed onshore. But because of their proximity to the Atlantic, there's this vortex of winds that comes directly from the Atlantic, and they are used to power those turbines. And it's very
No,
reliable and it's working.
no. The
So
turbines
let
are
me let
not
me.
anywhere close to the water.
Okay,
All the
okay.
turbines are in the cities,
No, no,
in
no. Yeah,
villages.
Yeah,
everywhere.
yes, that's my
So you
that's my
got that
second.
wrong. That's the point I'm trying to make because I know where they are.
Okay,
I
no,
understand what you're trying
Richard.
to say. You having a guess, thinking that because that's lots of water and Netherlands is very close to the sea, that's why it's very windy, and that's why they can have wind turbines all over the place, close to the water. And I'm trying to say to you, no. If you
Okay,
look at the
Richard.
farms over here,
Yeah,
if
Richard.
you look at the farms over here, are pretty much located right in cities and villages, right? The farms, they're not anything close to the sea, right, or to any of the canals in the Netherlands. That's the point I just want to quickly.
Okay, yeah. So that's the second example I want to give to you. In Alberta, Alberta is landlocked, so it's nowhere close to the sea. There we found out that there's in certain Alberta, between Calgary and Lethbridge. If you are by your system, you can Google this out. So between Saturn and Barton and Lethbridge, we've discovered there's a high potential of wind within that axis. And if you even go to those areas, you will see all the trees. Their branches are actually facing one direction, and that has been a very great location for siting wind turbine, and we've been doing that. A lot of wind turbine has been erected in those areas, but recently we begin to notice a drift which was not really observed. Some of the turbines in the, will I say, the peripheral side where the wind is, they are beginning to be static because the wind is not really impacting those blades. But those ones who are still within that, well, let's use the word stream or channel of where the wind is coming. I might not be using the right terminology anyway, but I just want you guys to understand. Within that, they are still being spined and they are still generating power. I agree with that, but up with that generation and all, even now most of our commercial mall over here, big mall, the roof of those mall have been turned into solar panel location. These are still not these are still, I mean, they are contributing, I agree with that, but these are still not making a significant footprint of the energy required for the province. Is still not. So this is a progressive step that we are taking, which is good. But we still have this what's it called, uh, hydro hydropower from the dam. That is much reliable, much more renewable, effortless after the construction of the dam. we, we are still relying on that. Gas turbine, getting natural gas from either from coal or from our various oil wells here. Boom, those gas turbines are still very much reliable, and they are producing enormous power requirements for the people. So that's why sometimes when you are looking at a nation like Nigeria, yes, wind turbine is good, solar panel is good, but how many? What would be the capacity to make a significant footprint in the power requirement of Nigeria? It's still going to be minimal. So we still rely more on these gas turbines, hydro dam, to be functional for us to really get the required power that we need, especially this 100 megawatts. That's your vision. So that's what I'm not trying to say. Okay, there are so many ways of getting powers. There's so many technology, but what impact can they make into the requirements? That's just where I'm coming from. If we have a nuclear power plant, which most European countries are actually eradicating now, um, if we, like New Brunswick in Canada, they still have nuclear power plants. Even in Darlington in Ontario, they still have a nuclear power plant, and they are getting enormous power source from those nuclear plants. But I'm not going to encourage Nigeria to do that, because we barely can take care fix our tires. Not to talk about take care of a nuclear power plant that requires stringent safety requirements. So that's what I'm looking at. Yes, there's so many sources of power, but we really need to focus on the one that can make a big footprint for the requirement of Nigeria. That's just the way I looked at it. I'll yield the mic at this point.
Thank you, Sam. Anyone has a comment to Sam's last submission? Okay, I mean, I get your point. What you're saying is, at the moment in Nigeria, the most that we can get out of what we have, right, is pretty much to capitalize on what we're capable of doing, which is to just concentrate on thermal energy, which of course requires that we will be burning a lot of coal, right? A lot of you know oil sometimes. But you have to understand that those are not environmentally friendly. And when you're talking about, yeah, our carbon footprint, when we're doing that, it's not something that um, that's really compulsory for us to have. If there are other choices, I mean, just like what you said, what we have now, we have something like 13,000 megawatts of electricity, right? Which 86% of it is from thermal generation, missing using quite a lot of coal, you know, and only 14% is from hydro. But we're saying we are saying if we're in the administration, we will be talking about a situation where we can reduce that, like the thermal can be reduced to just 50% of our total generation, transmission, and distribution. 50%. And we're talking about 50% of 100,000. So that means 50% megawatts. And I've explained to you how we plan on doing that earlier on. So that's pretty clear to you. But we don't want to just concentrate on using those traditional way of generating electricity. That's why we're backing on using renewable energy, hydro, just like what you said. We can get up to 5,000 megawatts from that when Mandela Project is finished. Then we have wind turbines, which can give us about 15,000 megawatts, having different wind farms all over the country. Uh, the next part three, we will be talking about locations, of these the set of wind turbine farms and how they're going to be looking like. So we have hydro, wind turbines, and solar power. These are what we need: renewable energy. And because of the fact that the cost per unit product is small, uh, and when you look at the number that we will be pushing out, producing, that means that we can create jobs, right, in proportion to that level of production. So it will only help us to create even more jobs when we do it that way, as opposed to just building nuclear energy, nuclear power plants or something like that. So Nigeria needs abundant job creation at this moment, and going that route is the one way that we can ensure that that will give us a big, massive leap into job creativity. So I hope that's kind of clear in a way, right, to you. Yeah. So trying but I can understand that you still kind of a little, yeah, not lost, but still finding your way through. But I believe that when you look into our comprehensive plans, right, then a lot of things will become a lot clearer to you. Brother Yemi is flashing. I believe you've got something to say. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, brother Richard and brother Sam. Yeah, we I really appreciate your views. You know, is getting things going. If we look at the present situation of this country, we are here. We know what is happening. Even the first priority will be more on, distribution, because there are still some part of this country that have not even experienced what is called power supply. You know, so the that is one of the reason our economy is backward, because there is no way, there's nothing to power it. There is an example. I was like, look at a situation where somebody is talking about a business plan on how to set up a charging booth. you know, we're the country where charging booth, that is where people, if you don't have generating set, so you just have to go there and power your phone with their generating set. You know, so we have is even the small challenges we have is the distribution too, because after generating all this, even right now, most of the power that is generated are not even consumed because they are not distributed accordingly. When you there are still some brother Esteran is not here. Where he works to, they generate power, but they are not even consuming up to 60% of what they generate. So we have that challenge of distribution also when we are looking at solving those problems along the line. That is why s- you know the level of corruption has eat deep into most of our system. So what we believe with Qatar Party, with the solution we have now, we'll be able to look at the situation of things holistically and come out with solution that will suit our own need. When we look at information, like most of you there will be our discos don't even know how much electricity their customers consume, in terms of how many appliances they have. They don't have data for that. All they just do is to just, okay, I build a new house, connect me to the grid. So we have to know, like, we're talking about small turbines. Okay, this turbine can take, like, okay, we have three estates in this place. So with this one turbine can power all the based on the appliances this estate has. We can now look at, okay, is it that what this in an estate, you know that all they need is just AC, it's not big machines that will consume much power. And our recklessness too is there, you know, because we are using estimated billing. Instead of using energy saver, we have energy savers these days, where those who are now using prepaid, if you see the kind of economy you see on a part of those using prepaid meter and those using estimated billing, you understand what I'm saying. Those using prepaid will now make arrangement for installation of energy saver bulb. If you want to buy a television set, you don't buy old one. There are television set now that just 20 watts. So those are things that we have to look at also, you know. Then our people, the orientation we already have now, if you are in this country, we don't have an orientation of how to, that is to make proper use of what we have. We look at it that, oh, most of the things that we are looking at is that, this is not how it should be. Things are not working. We just keep complaining. I understand that we should move on. We have to move on. We have to, move from where we are right now to be able to.
Okay, I think
Square peg on
Brother
a
Yemi,
round hole.
okay, think he's back again.
Yeah. Okay, we tend to put a square peg on a round hole. So most of the time, that is why we have this challenge of of things not working. But if we put, like, actually, private sector can run the economy very well if a good legal framework is already in place. But if you look at it, I want to make money, and I look at it that, oh, the the cost of importing already finished goods is far far more better than me producing in Nigeria. I will not encourage production in Nigeria because I'm a businessman. So, and also, when we are privatizing, like what we said, most of the company that are working today as a private company, they follow through the right channel. They give the work to the person who has the knowledge and the capacity to produce. And that is why it is working. But when we don't put that into consideration and we did it, the whole process, out of paddy paddy, the way things are run in our country. Don't worry, my brother is the president friends and all that, PA and all those stuff. Things will continue the same way. I know a couple of people, when we talk about this party, we're going to have now, say, don't worry, just bring money. Let's see how we can fix you into another new party. We have we already have some. There are parties that are registered in Nigeria today. They are not registered because they want to solve problem only, but only to just say, oh, if you cannot imagine the major political party, come and join our party and run. And I see that those things, as long as we continue to do things the way we are doing it now, there's no way we're going to get it right. So, a few of us that understand what's a true solution to Nigerian problem. I understand the passion Brother Sam has. That is why he also was making a very brilliant contribution here. And somebody like you, sir, will have appreciate that you follow us up, you know, join us so that we can see how we can, make an impact to our people. The level of poverty in this country is just too much that people don't even listen when you tell them the right thing. So let me just drop the mark here. I appreciate you so much. All right. Yeah, I'm okay here so that we can contribute. Others can contribute. Hello.
Thank you very much, Brother Yemi. Yeah, excellent point. Now, yeah, so it's really down to us what we do as a people because now we have the opportunity to make a real change. You know, yeah, provision of electricity is vital. It's the main fuel that industrialization runs on. And not just industrialization, just a basic ability to be able to be productive as a country. Whatever we're planning on doing requires adequate supply of electricity. Even with a country that concentrates really on agriculture at this moment, um, we can still see that almost everything that we use are imported. When we talk about the basic provision of the food that we survive on. So if the tools and the equipments and everything, machinery that we use, right, for our agric are imported, what does that make us as a people? It means we're still relying on other people to be able to survive. Because if those imported machines and tools are not imported, we will pretty much have to go back to subsistence farming. And with a population like 200 million people, that would be a disaster, I believe. Um, I'm not hoping that we'll be there. That's not because that's definitely where we need to be. And if you look at what's happening in the rest of the world, you will see that our chance of making things work differently and better is being reduced on a yearly basis. And that's because the rest of the world are not there just waiting for us. They're galloping away. I mean, brother Sam, you said you're in Canada. You see the kind of productivity level that Canada has, and if you compare that to where we are in Nigeria, I'm sure you see a big, massive gap there. Gap enough to be convinced that okay, this is ridiculous. If we are people just as they call themselves people, there shouldn't be such a gap between our development. So, when you talked about yes, yeah, we should move on, we should just get on with it. I love that enthusiasm. I mean, you could see you want real change, just like a lot of us. We want something. We want it to be better, and we believe that yeah, it can be done. But when you look at it, no matter from which angle you looked at it properly, you will realize that it's just not possible the way Nigeria is today. All of the basic requirements that are needed for those kind of changes to happen are not there. So I understand that you want us to like do something about it straight away, don't wait. But we're not in administration. It's Buhari who's in the government, and he's the one who's supposed to do it. But he's not doing it. And the prospect of him doing it in the nearest future is not there. I mean, he knows about Ajaokuta, how important it is. In 2019, they said, yeah, okay, they asked him, right, to give, well, the Senate presented, um, a proposal for him, right, to pretty much just hand over $1 billion for them to revitalize Ajaokuta so that Nigeria can be industrialized. I mean, their kind of industrialization is a situation where they will explore the iron ore, they will process it in Ajaokuta into liquid steel and then into structural steel and then export it. They're going to export it because we cannot use them to make anything ourselves. because we cannot manufacture. So we will make them halfway through and then export them. The same way we'll export our gold and our copper and our manganese and our zinc. And then we will import back all of the products that are made from those materials that we exported at a high, very exorbitant price. The situation with oil came to mind. It's very clear. You know, we have the fossil, we have the oil, but we have to export it and then we buy it back at very high price for our basic petrol usage. So that's why it cannot be possible with that industrialization, with that the knowledge to actually manufacture, produce. So that's why I totally agree that yeah, with the present government, it will be a dream not to come true. We will be setting ourselves up for disappointment. And we've been there before several times. So this is pretty much how I mean, our only chance to set things correctly. Otherwise, the situation will just remain the same. They will keep stealing what they can steal, and we will keep suffering like never before because things are not about to get better. That much I know. So that's the situation. Um, I think we've actually um, overspent our time tonight, because we plan on just addressing these in sessions. So, like I said earlier on, tomorrow we'll be touching and on the next part of the plan, so that we can get that information out. You know. So, Dr. Mo, are you there, sir? Are you there, Dr. Mo? Okay, Dr. Mo is not there. Yemi, do you have a closing remark for us? I mean, like I said, tomorrow will be another day for the continuation, so we can run the next session.
Yeah,
Please go ahead.
I'll just
Yeah.
can you hear me? Okay, Dr. Mo is back, so I think he
Go
can.
ahead. I can hear you. Go ahead, Jimmy.
All right. I just want to appreciate everyone who has made it today into for this second part of the program. Can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, you're back now.
Okay. So I just want to appreciate everyone who has made it today to the second part of our discussion. So though I was unable to come up early due to circumstances beyond my control, but I believe by tomorrow I should be able to make it earlier. So I appreciate you, Dr. Moore and Brother Richard, for holding brief. And we pray by tomorrow we're going to have a good one. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Yemi. Appreciate you being here despite all the unforeseen contingencies. You still managed to make it here, so my appreciation. Thank you very much. Um, Dr. Mo, are you there?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Do you want to throw in a closing remark?
No, for me, I think this is very noble. And, even after tomorrow, we'll find time to just sustain it. And I'm very happy that Sam really brought in some very vital points. That's it's good for that enrich the debate and the discussion. And we see his points too. And it's also very important, to be able to. Sometimes you need people like that to help clarify stance, and also they help you to be able to face certain realities. In the whole, I think we'll do everything to see how we can get more people in, but what's most important is the discussion itself, um, the build up, the sharing, the engagement, and then because when the nucleus of people are able to get it and expand it, then we become ambassadors to be able to take the message to the outer people. But then we could hold a very big room where different people can be able to talk in and be able to
Can you
hold
hear
their
me?
own brief concerning this.
Hear me?
So yeah, I think it's the network again, but that's all for now. Yeah.
Okay. Many thanks, Dr. Mo. Is Yemi trying to say, do you want to say something, Yemi?
No, 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 no. It's okay.
Okay. Right, Dr. Mo, many thanks. Thanks a lot, for being here and running these with all of us. So we will be bringing the session to an end, and then tomorrow we will continue part 3, and then we will probably finish off next week, on these electricity session.